Hey everybody. So there's an argument that I see float around a lot when it comes to AI, and I have no idea where this argument originated from because it's so far from the truth that it isn't even funny. But I see it perpetuated a lot in lots of conversations. So like, welcome to dealing with AI overall. But so the argument is plain and simple that LLM models cannot create an idea that is outside of their data sets. Like it's just physically impossible for these models to create any sort of a novel idea. And in this video, I'm going to break down why that is a laughable mindset, both technically and philosophically. Like it's just flat out wrong. And let's dive into that. So the bottom line, let's start off with like, before we get into these things, we have to create an agreeable definition, right? So the definition of original idea. And then so here I'm going to take the technical definition of exactly what an original idea is. So originality of ideas and creative works. An original idea is not one thought up by another person beforehand. Sometimes two or more people can come up with the same idea independently. Originality is usually associated with characteristics such as being imaginative and creative. The evaluation of originality depends not only on the creative work itself, but also on the temporal context, the zeitgeist. In a study of the musical originality of 15,618 classical music themes, the importance of objective characteristics and the zeitgeist for popularity was examined. Both the musical originality of a theme relative to its contemporary works, the zeitgeist, as well as its absolute originality, influenced in similar magnitude the popularity of a theme. Similarly, objective features and temporal context both influence the evaluation of linguistic originality. So, in simplistic terms, we want to prove that the models can create an original novel idea under this technical definition. I can do that right now for you and up front without anything else, right? There's a few things. The first is that Google has created LLM models and sorry, neural networks overall specifically that are capable and have created both new proteins as well as brand new antibiotics out of nowhere, right? That did not exist before. Numerous examples of both. And then, so they're very novel. They're all original. They meet every single technical definition of originality within this. I actually like what Gemini's definition is on this overall more. So what is the technical definition of a new idea? A new idea is not a monolithic concept, but rather a nuanced term whose technical definition shifts depending on the field of the application. While broadly signifying a novel cognitive construct, its specific criteria for what constitutes new vary significantly across disciplines, most notably in law, research, and philosophy. In the realm of IP, novelty, non-obviousness, and originality. So that's kind of like the patent law, the triad of novelty, utility, and non-obviousness. And then so we're going to go kind of with this standard as well as the standard for copyright law, which is independent creation and minimal creativity. When it comes to research, academia, and philosophy, we can dive into it like via different mindsets and different modes within that, and I'll get into that, right? But I want to focus up front here very specifically on the technical aspect of this, right? So let's take again the Gemini and Wikipedia definition of the technical definition of original thought in this instance. And then I just ask it very simplistically. I would like for you to create a unique idea under a prevailing paradigm and defend why it is in fact an original idea. So the prevailing paradigm. The prevailing paradigm is the shift towards proactive and personalized AI integrated into everyday life, often referred to as the Internet of Things or IoT and ambient computing. The current state of this paradigm involves devices that react to commands, learn simple patterns, and offer personalized recommendations. The focus is on convenience, efficiency, and user-centric customization. This is Gemini's unique idea. My idea is the epistemic filter, an AI-driven software layer that integrates with the user's primary information interfaces, so web browser, news, apps, social media, feeds, email. Its purpose is not to block or censor information, but to provide a real-time dynamic nutritional label for the content a user consumes. It actively works to counteract cognitive biases and reveal the underlying structure of information flow with the goal of fostering healthier and more conscious information and consumption habits. Here's how it would function. Bias analyses, source provenance, echo chamber meter, serendipity injection. So it's basically building out a whole entire framework, internet framework, like a label for every single website that you could come across that has a bias meter, or any sort of information that you could come across online. Pretty cool to me, and it's novel overall. This is a very novel app overall if it were to be built out. The epistemic filter is an original idea when analyzed against the technical definitions of novelty and non-obviousness. It's novel and non-obvious, and it could be patentable because of existing art, fact-checking browser plugins exist, news aggregator apps exist, algorithms that recommend content exist, media bias charts exist as aesthetic infographics, but the inventive next step, the non-obviousness, the originality of the epistemic filter lies in the synthesis of these parts into a dynamic, personalized, and proactive system focused on the user's cognitive process rather than just the veracity of the content. So I think we're going to have debates here, right? Because people are going to say that this is just the synthesis of existing systems, but the synthesis of existing systems is utilized in order to make a novel app, like a novel, and the utility and the function of it is very novel, right? That's the majority of ideas, and that's the vast majority of business models that currently exist anywhere within the status quo, right? So I think what people are going to try to pick apart within this is that this part, right? That this is synthesis of kind of existing data and existing thoughts. Let's now dive from the technical into the philosophical, because that's the philosophical realm is where I want to thrash that argument flat out, right? So the bottom line to me with that, I look at all of these tests and all of these scales under one simple and paradigm. Could a human pass the same test? And then the answer in this instance that people that take the other side of this argument is that a human couldn't pass its own test. Can you prove that you generate your own thoughts? That you 100% are the generator of those thoughts? Nietzsche, for example, and then other philosophers took that forward. There's Derrida, Deleuze, other authors that are major within this framing of this argument, which is very simplistically that you cannot prove that you are the actual generator of the thoughts in your mind, right? You can prove that you create, that there's thoughts that are created and poof into your mind, but you can't prove that the thought is original and that you are the originator. There's two things within that you cannot philosophically prove. Same thing with the LLM model. You're trying to have it prove something that is not humanly provable under any sort of philosophical paradigm within that. Nietzsche describes it as there could be in existence another realm that exists where thoughts are generated, and this realm is the existence of all thoughts that have ever been thought, could ever be thought, and it could just be, and it just happened that what happens is when you create this process of generating a thought, it gets plucked from this other universe, other realm, and then happens to just be deposited directly into your brain. That there's no actual churning process, no actual mechanism, creation of that thought that occurs in the brain, right? That's the part that you can't prove, that creation part. And then that's the part that people are trying to say, well, LLM models can't do that. Okay, prove that you can. It's an impossible test to prove overall, right? And that's the bottom line within any of those tests. Same thing with the consciousness, all of that, right? That's why they're useless baselines, useless tests overall. Because if a well, if humans can't pass the baseline and we can't agree that humans can, what world is it, and what use and what benefit is it to like throw LM models and AI models into that same test and that same reasoning? It doesn't make any philosophical or scientific sense at all. It's just purely operating off of emotion, which is like, I hate like when people make those arguments overall, like the LM models can't create original thought, like neither can you. Like, and it breaks that. I mean, that's a very simplistic and cut and dry argument within that, right? Like it's human exceptionalism is kind of the way that I honestly break it down, being like very straightforward and honest with it. Like when I look at a lot of the advancements and a lot of like the pushback that people have on the advancements and like when it comes to these things, like to me, just personally speaking, I see a lot of that pushback being along this lines of what I'll call human exceptionalism. This idea that like there's something uniquely different and special overall. Like the special is like that key word there, right? That has to exist to separate humans from nature, from the universe, from like something else. Like there's a separation that has to exist within that, right? And to me, like there's a lot. I mean, you can go back to like Darwin and Freud, and like I think there's a lot of like trace Nietzsche. Like we can go back like a lot of places as to like where those separations and breaks start to occur. But I think it's a pretty common pattern throughout human history, just overall. And I think that like. But bottom line, when I see people making these arguments up front, like and not actually reasoning it out, I very much think it's just human exceptionalism. Like it's flat out exactly what it is, right? It's not. It's the unwillingness to accept that like logical thinking processes could actually be broken down into some sort of basic function. Like that just there's a certain group of people that they just don't want to grasp that as the answer within this, right? And to that, I would say that's not the answer that I wanted to have breakdown within this thing, right? Like to me philosophically, and the reason why I like philosophy overall is I've asked these broad questions my entire life, and in my entire life, every single time when you get deep into these things, you can get to like 96% of the way there, and then there's always a wall that you hit, and you can never get past that wall. Why? Because it's like we are all humans with the same shared human experience, and that creates a massive wall and barrier within them. And then for the last 2 years, 3 years, we've lived in a world where that wall has shifted and people have been hammering at it. And then so what you've seen is rather than 96%, we're now able to start moving those things like 97, 98% in some of these areas. And then that's where you're starting to see kind of like major like movements and shifts when it comes to like these things overall, especially like philosophy and physics, right? Like being the major two, because like I mean philosophy feeds into physics, right? And then so within that, like it's an interesting time and an interesting period overall to be able to like evaluate these things. But to me, the most important thing within that is to evaluate these things objectively, right? And that's what I try to do overall. Like I have my own internal biases, of course, when it comes to everything, right? Everyone has internal biases, but I try to like my general approach within these things is to like be as tabula rasa as possible. Go through, examine what are the actual facts within this, how is it actually working, how is it actually breaking down, and then making opinions and further research from there. And then within that and within this, it's pretty simple and pretty straightforward that when you take that tabula rasa approach to this, that when it comes to this question of originality and original ideas, that like the most philosophically backwards argument that you could possibly ever make is to say that an LLM model can't create original thought. That's not technically true, and it's not philosophically true. And I think I've done a good job here of breaking down this argument there on both levels as to exactly why that is overall. And so if you like this type of content overall, please like and subscribe. Thank you very much.